everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going through how to draw realistic hair using pastel pencils. And I am using the Stabilo pastel pencils and pastel matte paper in the shade brown. But you can use any pastels and pastel paper that you have. I'm going to start off by taking you through how I draw a small lock of hair, all of the steps that I go through, and then I'll be pulling those techniques together to create a whole hair study. So I'm just going to be using 5 pencils for this. I start off with a couple of lighter tones and I match these colours to the highlights in my reference that I am using. I like to then have some mid-tone colours that match the majority of the hair colour, and then finally I have a few darker colours to match the shadows in my hair study. So you don't need loads of different colours for this drawing, but you do want to have a range of values, so some tones that are suitable for the highlights, for the mid-tones, and then for the shadows. I always start off with a nice light base layer. So I'm taking that first lightest colour that I've picked in my swatches and I use that to add a base layer all over that section of hair. And then I go in with the second colour. This is more of a yellow cream tone, and I'm going in and I'm just adding a bit more colour, a bit more vibrancy to the hair, but things are still very light at the moment. Then I jump over to the mid-tones and you can see that I'm working from light to dark, and I use this to start to establish where the mid-tones are and the shadows are going to be in my hair study, in that lock of hair. Then I like to go over again with the lighter colours just to make sure that I've got enough saturation of that highlighted colour down and so that you can't see any of the brown through the pencils. For blending, I use a cotton bud. You can use the sponges that you get to blend pastels, your fingers, or whatever works for you. And then once you've got a really nice smooth base layer, you can start to build up those shadows and really get in a range of values. I once again go in with that mid-tone colour, and then I start to really deepen things up with those 2 final shadowed colours, that brown and that darker black tone. And this really helps to give depth to the hair and gives it a 3D look. And that's where people tend to fall a bit short and it doesn't look too realistic because they don't use a range of values, and so the image doesn't pop. Finally, to really make the hair look realistic, I like to go in with those lighter pencils and add a few little flyaway hairs and details to really break up that section of hair and make it look natural. Now, before I go in more detail on how I created this whole hair study, if you want to follow along with this study in real time, then it is available over on my Patreon, as well as hundreds of other real-time tutorials for a large range of mediums, including coloured pencil, charcoal, pastels, watercolours, and much more. For just a small amount per month, you'll get instant access to hundreds of real-time tutorials, as well as all of the resources that you need to follow along with them. But if a monthly membership isn't right for you, or you're just interested in learning one medium or subject matter, then over on my website I've got lots of individual courses that will teach you all of the techniques that you need to know to master your chosen medium and subject matter. Each course is just a one-off payment, and you will also get all of the references, sketch outlines, and materials lists that you need to follow along with the tutorials. And the tutorials, of course, come with full voice narration as well. So if you are interested in my courses, then you can currently get 15% off if you use the code SAVE15 at checkout, and I'll leave a link to my Patreon and my course website in the description, and I'll also leave a link to a website that I created that show you all of the Patreon tutorials I have available on my Patreon site before you go and pledge and become a patron. But now let's get into this full hair study. We're doing again a nice dark blonde hair study, and the hair is very wavy, which makes it a bit more challenging to do. But I'm going to approach it in the exact same way as I did with that small lock of hair. No matter how challenging the hair study is, I still go through the same process and the same step-by-step that I did with that small lock of hair. First, by going in with that lightest colour, and this is very much an off-white ivory tone, and I'm just using this to block in all of the highlights that I can see in my reference. And if you ever are drawing something realistically, you definitely will want to use a reference so that you can get all of the shadows and highlights in the right place and really give it depth and a 3D look. Then once again, I'm going in with that second colour. This is more of a creamy yellow tone, as you can see, gives a lot more vibrancy to the hair. And I go over a lot of those highlighted areas, but I also start to add this to areas that are more mid-toned. Then once again, we're going in now with the mid-tone colour, and you can see that when I'm drawing in the hair, I'm going in lines that are going with the direction the hair is going in. And that is so important if you want to give a realistic hair texture. You don't want to shade in circular motions or anything like that. You want to do lines that are going with the direction the hair is going in. And if you're drawing wavy hair like this, then you need to look at each section individually, because they'll probably be going in a different direction, especially if the hair is wavy or curly. Then I blend all of that together, and this really removes all of the graininess from the paper and really gives a soft, smooth, shiny look. And it's really easy to blend pastel with cotton buds, and they're a nice cheap way to blend out your pastels. And so you just want to try and remove all of the graininess and give a nice even base layer to build on top of. One thing that's brilliant about pastels is that you can layer and layer them, especially because pastel paper tends to be really textured and can cling on to a lot of the pastel. Now, one question that I quite often get is, how do I sharpen pastels and charcoal without them breaking? And I just use this standard sharpener, but I make sure that I go very slowly and that I don't apply too much pressure to the pencil. And I check the pencil quite often just to make sure it's not broken. And I like to only sharpen it until I got it to a point that I need it to be at. I don't like to over sharpen my pencils, because the more you sharpen it, the more at risk it is of breaking. So now that I've got in those lighter tones and those mid-tones, I'm going in with that lightest colour again, and I'm just going to make the highlights pop a bit more, because when you blend everything together with that darker mid-tone colour, it makes the highlighted areas a little bit darker. So I want to brighten them back up so that we're using the full range of the value scale. Then I'm going back in with that mid-tone colour, and we really need to start to build up those darker values now, because everything is looking very light. Another tip that I have for you guys when you're drawing hair, no matter what medium you're using, is not to try and drawing every single strand of hair. You want to build up the hair in clumps, and you want to give it that 3D volume look to it. And so you don't need to draw lots of individual lines for the hair, otherwise that will give it more of a wiry look to it and it won't look very realistic. Instead, try to build up the masses of hair by looking at the lights and the darks that you can see in the reference. I'm working from the top to the bottom of my drawing now, and I'm starting to go in with those darker pencils to build up all of the shadows. And in this particular reference photo, the roots of her hair were a bit darker than the ends, so I'm focusing a lot of this brown pencil right at the roots and at the top of the head, and I won't be using as much of it as I go throughout the rest of the hair. An important thing to note is that for the underneath layers of hair, because there are going to be curls and waves of hair that are overlapping underneath layers, those underneath bottom layers of hair are going to be a bit darker, and the bits of hair that are on the top, that are the top layer, is going to get a bit more light. The light won't be able to get to those underneath layers. So if there's any layers of hair that's casting shadows on the hair beneath it, it will be a bit darker, if that makes sense. I'm now finally going in with that black tone, and I'm only using this for those darkest areas. I try and avoid this colour as much as I can, and you don't have to use black. You can go in with some darker browns if you are not a fan of using black in your drawings. That is completely fine. But to make sure it doesn't look too flat, I like to go over the top with a dark brown over the top of that black to merge those colours in together so that it comes out as a nice dark rich brown tone. At the moment, we're starting to get in the main forms of the hair, and we've got in those lights and those darks, but there's not really many details to the hair. There's not any loose individual hairs, and it looks a bit uniformed at the moment. And this can make it look a bit more cartoony. So we definitely need to go in with our next layer and build up more details. But as you can see, once again, between layers, I like to go in and blend everything out just to keep it nice and smooth. And I'm using a cotton bud to do that. So now we're getting into those details, and for this you'll want to make sure that you've got nice sharp pencils. When you're doing the first and second layer that we've just done, it doesn't matter if your pencils are really sharp, but once we start to get in and do these individual details, you want to make sure that you have got sharp pencils so that your lines are nice and crisp. And this is what's really going to take the hair study up to that next level and make it look realistic, is by adding these loose individual hairs that are overlapping and sweeping across the hairstyle, sweeping from section to section of hair. And it really helps to make it look like the hair has got more motion, like it's blowing in the wind, and that it's not just slicked down on the head, it's got more body to it now. So you definitely want to go in and add these individual little hairs and these wispy bits of hair, especially around the outside of the hairstyle going onto the background. And you don't just want to do this with the lightest colour, but you can go in and do this with those darker tones as well, especially around the top of the hair. And one great thing about pastels is that you can keep tweaking it until you're happy with it, because you can layer light colours on top of darker colours and darker colours on top of the lighter shades as well. And here you can see the finished result. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial and learned a few tips on drawing hair with pastel pencils. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new around here, and even tick that bell icon so you do get notified on my future videos. But that is it from me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye everybody.